Hello Planet Internet, I am Emperor Cole. This is Emperor Cole Film Review, brought to you by MindbenderENT.com. And today I'm here to review Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Everyone, let's go join the rebels and let's go steal those planets to that Death Star. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, is directed by Gareth Edwards and written by Chris Weitz and Tony Gilroy. In a time of conflict, a group of unlikely heroes band together on a mission to steal the planets of the Death Star, the Empire's ultimate weapon of destruction. This key event in the Star Wars timeline brings together ordinary people who choose to do extraordinary things. And in doing these extraordinary things, they become a part of something greater than themselves. Okay, for anyone who is not an ultra Star Wars geek like myself, Rogue One, the events in this movie take place directly before Episode 4. So the original film that came out, I believe, in 1977, everything that happens in this movie, these are the events that lead up to that film. 100% right before that movie takes place, everything in this movie happens. So if you have not seen the Clone Wars, even if you haven't seen the prequels, episodes 1, 2, and 3, you can jump right into this film and still understand this movie as a standalone because it works on its own without the other films. So Rogue One is a very fun movie. Once again, this feels like a return to the original Star Wars trilogy. The movie is definitely exciting. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. But once again, if you are a Star Wars fan, a hardcore Star Wars fan, you kind of know how things have to go for the Rebels in order for it to fit the original storyline. Even though you kind of know where it's going to go, the characters are still very fun to be with. It's a very exciting story. The character that Donnie Yen plays, Chirrut Îmwe, in my opinion, this is my favorite character in the entire film. Not only was he heroic in a lot of different moments, but at the same time, he was also very funny. The humor that was blended and done by him was written very well, and he performed it very well. Then, of course, the action sequences where he's fighting with some of the stormtroopers, I mean, that's won't give anything away, but that stuff's really good. He did a very good job at being an entertaining character, but at the same time, his character serves a bigger purpose and shows that although certain people are no longer present in the galaxy the way they once were, he kind of represents the faith, the hope, the belief that these people are going to be around again, and maybe somewhere they're all going to pop back up again. Hint, hint, if you're a Star Wars fan, you kind of know which people I might be referencing. Another great performance that I felt in the film was done by Alan Tudyk, who played the character of K-2SO. K-2SO is a droid which was reprogrammed and is now helping out the rebels. And this droid was very good in the comedic moments, great for comic relief, and he also served a purpose in the story as far as being able to help the rebels get where they need to be and do some of the things they need to do that could have never been done by any human. Although obviously this movie was produced primarily in 2015 and early 2016, technology is much better now than it was back in the 70s, but the aesthetics, the look of this movie, the special effects, and the feeling, it all feels like it could have been, like this movie feels like it could have been made back in the 70s, and they just kept it in the vault for like the last 40 years, then decided to release it. Everything was done so that it matches. They made sure the visual effects look great, but the visual effects match what was done back then, and it all blended very well. I enjoyed the way that this movie introduces a lot of new characters. There are a lot of new characters that you get invested in, and you understand their struggle and what they've been going through. You understand why they are so passionate with this rebellion, and you understand these sacrifices that they're willing to make, all just to get the plans to the Death Star. Not even to destroy it. This is just to get the plans so that maybe somebody else can continue the work that they've been doing. So when you see what these characters go through and you understand everybody's backstory a little bit for what's given, it helps to understand why Episode 4 is called, quote-unquote, A New Hope. So the primary villain in this film is Orson Krennic, who is a general in the Emperor's galactic army. He's in charge of overseeing the construction of the Death Star. It's his job to make sure that it comes in on time and it's as deadly as it's supposed to be. And of course, he's supposed to keep the engineers who are doing the designing, the planning, and the actual construction. It's his job to make sure everybody's in line and everything is done when it's supposed to get done. So now, he's the primary villain. Of course, everyone is interested in knowing about the secondary villain who's kind of looming around, this little guy, you might have heard of him, called Darth Vader. So yes, Vader is in the movie, but I enjoyed the fact that Gareth Edwards and the writers in Disney, they did not overdo it with Vader. We've seen a whole lot of Vader. We know Vader's story. This movie did a great job of having his presence where he's looming, where you know he's around, he's in the background, but they didn't overdo it and have too many scenes of Vader, and they didn't have his presence overshadow the actual film and the story. So overall, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, this is a very good film. It's a very entertaining film. If you are a hardcore Star Wars fan, you're going to love this movie. There's almost no way you cannot like this movie if you are a hardcore Star Wars fan. Rogue One lived up to the hype for me. So, it's time for me to give this movie a score on the Mindbender Movie Meter. And I'm going to have to say, Star Wars Rogue One, you're going to have to give this film a score of 91%. Rogue One, 91% on the Star Wars Movie Meter. Okay, so this has been Emperor Cole Film Review for Rogue One, a Star Wars story. If you enjoyed this review, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Please make sure you check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Mindbender Entertainment. Check us out on Twitter at MindbenderENT. And of course, check out the website, mindbenderent.com. And remember, the future is now.